I did it. Hi, everyone. Hi, friends. Thank you for your practice. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your support. Like, subscribe. It helps to grow the Sangha. It's a Bodhisattva activity, right? You know, I've been working on this book now for a while. How we judge that, I'm not sure. But actually, editing, typing, creating this Buddhism reference. And yesterday, I went through the entire book, top to bottom again, with the help of Sandra, the woman whose property I built this school on, John and Catalina. I've managed to find as many grammatical errors, typos, and a really nasty, formatting sometimes gets weird in a document. The larger it gets, for some reason, you'll cut and paste something into one section of the document and it kicks the formatting off everywhere else. So I went through the whole thing yesterday and I feel pretty good about it. So I made the ebook available. So if you go to the ebook page on threefoldlotus.com, you'll see right at the top of the page the Buddhism reference, the picture of Nichiren on it. It's now available. I'm not going to say it's perfect. I don't know if there is such a thing as perfect, but at least while I wait for the print version to get printed and shipped to me from Lulu, which will take 2 to 3 weeks. It's amazing how long that takes, unless I want to pay 5 times the price of the book for shipping. Anyway, once I get that hard copy, I'll pour through the whole thing again. Undoubtedly, I'll find some little errors, hopefully nothing major. I think by now I've done enough on it. The only thing that could possibly happen is, as is often the case, in the middle of these videos, I'll come up with another term and think, oh, that should be in the book. So there will be future revisions. But right now, at 232 pages, you can get this ebook on threefoldlotus.com. And we're going to wait a little longer for the print version because that's a bigger investment, especially with shipping. So the print version, by the way, will be the first hardcover book that I sell on the bookstore, simply because I think a reference book is something you're always pulling on and off the shelf, and it just needs to be sturdier. So I thought I would make it a hardcover. Anyway, today's term is the 5 aggregates, which also in the book is Skandhas. So they're both really the same thing, but having it in the book in 2 different ways not only covers our bases, in case somebody knows one term but not the other, but also gave me an opportunity to come at the idea from different directions. So, the 5 aggregates. First thing, see Skandhas, right? Shakyamuni Buddha's awakening gave him, among other things, a new perspective on the uses and limitations of words. Not what you were expecting, right? The building blocks of understanding the mind's various conscious mechanisms and senses. I might have to reword that. Siddhartha had discovered a reality, the birth and deathless, free of the cycle of birth and death, that no words could describe. At the same time, he discovered the path to awakening could be described through language, although it involved a new way of seeing and conceptualizing the problem of anxiety and suffering, stress. Because ordinary concepts were often poor tools for teaching the path, he had to invent new concepts and to stretch pre-existing words to encompass those concepts so that others could endeavor to awaken themselves, right? We've talked about this language problem or reality ad nauseum, yeah? One of the new concepts most central to his teachings was that of the Skandhas, usually translated into English as aggregates. In his first sermon, though, the Buddha gave it a new psychological meaning, introducing the term clinging skandhas, right? You can see attachment. And what you're going to notice in this book, if you haven't by now, is there's a ton of cross-references to different terms that have either similar meanings or a different dissection of meaning underneath another term. This is Buddhism. We could describe Buddhism simply as chanting Namo Myoho Renge Kyo. Just do that. But that's not the way our samsaric mind works. It's not satisfied, ever. Right? Our samsaric mind is constantly accruing information, data. We're never really satisfied, not completely anyway, with any description, definition, experience of anything. That's craving. That's what Buddhism and Shakyamuni taught. This craving is what keeps us off kilter, worried, stress, anxiety, right? But to understand that, I mean, you get it, especially 2,700 years ago, people needed stories, examples, ways of understanding how that was happening. How is it that my mind is constantly focused on more? And how in the hell do you turn that off? And that's where all this language and terminology comes from. So the concept of Buddhism, pretty darn simple. Just change your mind, right? But no matter who you talk to, every single sentient mind you encounter, their questions, though they may sound the same, will be different, if only for the way that they understand what they're asking, or for that matter, the answers that we get. Yeah. So this is why the necessity for something like Buddhism Reference, this book, and there's others out there. Of course, my mission is to be modern, contemporary, and to get rid of all the confusing language of other traditions. And it's confusing enough as it is, just with the limited terms that I'm trying to use throughout this book, which you'll notice. This term of moment to moment appears all over the place. But that's good, because we're training our minds not only expansively to understand, right, but to also pick up on the fact that all of these terms, they're really just coming at the same problem from different directions. And one direction might be your renge, your aha moment. So this is the way we learn. This is the way we teach ourselves. This is the way we help others. This is why you can't hand Buddhahood to somebody, because they have to come through their own little network of insights, right? Prajna, for themselves to have the confidence, the insight, the determination to instantiate Buddhahood. Because it's hard to convince your samsaric mind to instantiate something you either don't understand or not quite sure about. So language is imperfect, but it's what we've got. So let's continue with what I wrote in here and see if after enough words it starts to make sense, yeah? Throughout the remainder of his teaching life, Shakyamuni we're talking about, he referred to these psychological skandhas time and again. Notice he called them clinging skandhas. Skandhas, consciousnesses, but the main feature of those consciousnesses is they're grasping constantly, right? As I was saying earlier. More, accrue. Their importance in his teachings has thus been obvious to every generation of Buddhists ever since. Less obvious, though, has been the issue of how they are important. How should a practitioner make use of the concept of the psychological skandhas? What questions are they meant to answer? What questions are they meant to answer? And as And as Shakyamuni's teachings progressed into Mahayana, more details were developed for study, as well as a greater number of consciousnesses to explore the full breadth of sentient beings and the mechanisms of clinging, identification, and more generally, samsara. See how the terms are all dancing around one another? So what are the 5 aggregates? And you may have picked on the fact that these 5 aggregates are actually based on the sense organs, right? They're built on their consciousnesses, actually, right? And we know as Mahayanas and Lotus Sutra Buddhists that there are 9 in total in the vernacular and teachings, the ultimate teachings of Shakyamuni Buddha. So this is just the first 5. And here we go. The 5 aggregates are 1, form, the physical world, right? How do we perceive that form? Eyes, taste, smell, right? We use our consciousnesses. So they equate almost directly with the aggregates. Not exactly the same, but you'll see. Second one is sensation or feeling, the Vedana. Not sensations or feelings as they're meant in ordinary English, but our simplest responses to the experience, like dislike or indifference, right? Think epistemology. I just recently put up a video on epistemology. Great word, but even greater. Why is it a great word? Because of what it's about. See, words, terms, we're so hung up on them. But epistemology, so similar to exactly what we're doing here with the aggregates and consciousnesses. This is a preoccupation of samsara. And epistemology is a study of how we create what we think of as what we know or knowledge, right? You don't go to Walmart and go to the shelf for knowledge and look for Skandhas. Okay, Skandhas, let me plug that in. Okay, I have that knowledge, right? It comes by an abstraction in our minds, our little insight moments, yeah? So sensation and feeling, when they're used in the English language, typically mean, touching something and a sensation like heat or cold. In the Skandhas, sensation is really about the internal mechanisms of the mind incorporating from the sense organs what's happening. Do you see what I mean? It's once removed from the actual physical experience, and it's more of a mental construction. Make sense? Third, obviously, perception, right? It's right in there, right next to that. Perception, sana, again, not perception as conveyed by ordinary English, like, aha, I see that. And we think of that as recognition of an object as perception, but the mental process of perception. See, the two are already, Buddhism is nitpicking about duality. What's really going on here? Well, if I see the boat, then that's my perception. The boat is in the water. No. Yes, you're right, in English and samsaric parlance, right? But what we're identifying here as an aggregate is how is that perception being manifested in the mind? What's going on? The recognition or interpretation of sense object followed by mental labeling. Again, epistemology. How do we construct what we think we know? The fourth is mental formations. Formations again. But this time identifying them not as subatomic energy into form, but formations in a different usage. And if you go to formations, you'll see there's different uses, different interpretations of how to use that word. In this case, the formations being what we've been talking about. How does the brain-mind work together to amalgamate, abstract, create images, thoughts, and sensations, all of the rest, for us to identify, there's that special word, something. Not just something, but underneath that, what I am not, right? Because if that is the thing, then I am not the thing, and there's that duality, self and other. Samsara. And the fifth one, the biggie, consciousness, or vijnana. Cognizance, perception, including thoughts, right? Which this system views as sense objects perceived through the sense gate of the mind. Isn't that a wonderful visualization? A sense gate. Like with whatever's going on, chemically, neurologically, electronically, so on, quantumly, in the brain-mind sentience of our minds. At what point does all of that go, boom, this? Boom, knowledge. This is what we call it. This is what it looks like. This is what we label it. There's a lot going on there. We don't think about that often, but the five aggregates, and if you read Vasubandhu, if you can read Vasubandhu, and I don't mean that it's difficult to read the words or the translations. What's difficult is to keep up with the logics, right? And this happens a lot in Buddhism, even in my own writing. I'm guilty of it too. I'm trying to keep it simple. But if you miss one of these terms, suddenly things don't jive. But defining the possibilities of the way information moves through our sense organs, our eyes, our fingers, our tongues, so on. And somehow, electronically, chemically, the brain sorts these things out, creates a mental picture, mental formations, and with our mind, we become aware, conscious of the eye stuff, of the sound stuff, of the, right, the sensation stuff, the weight stuff. And we combine it all into this nice, detailed little soup of this is a this and that is a that. I feel like the Count on Sesame Street. One consciousness. All right. For more on the role of these concepts play in the scholarship of the Dharma, please see the 9 consciousnesses. So when you go and look at the 9 consciousnesses, you'll get the full picture. And then where this starts to dissect the formations of the mind, with the 9 consciousnesses, it will be a deeper dive into each aspect. Just like going to the Nidana page, I list the Nidana, the 12 linked causal chain, right? I have videos on it. The Buddhism reference book is just kind of a quick recap. So you can go to it and go, oh yeah, I remember when you talked about that. Oh, I didn't get that. Maybe you should go see the video or listen to the podcast and get a more complete discussion. But it didn't want the book to be a transcription of all the videos. My goodness, it would be a library like the Britannica. It would be crazy. Just trying to make a field book, that you can hear and see the words, repeat them, and they should call, like a call response kind of thing, the information you've already learned from the videos, right? Hundreds and hundreds of videos on this channel. And you can take whatever word you're looking at, like the 5 aggregates or the Skandhas, and you can put that in a little search block in the middle of the page on the home page of the channel, right? The little magnifying glass there. And put Skandhas in there, and you'll get a result set of videos that have it in the title or the description, somehow refer to it, so you can do your own research, right? The next term is going to be formation. That should be a good one. None of these are that long. Never more. Well, I shouldn't say that, but at any rate, thank you. Thank you for listening. I hope that made sense. If you caught something in it that left you wanting and you don't think you'll find it by going to the other referenced terms, don't even think about it that long. Just email me, tlksylvain@gmail.com. Or if you don't mind doing it in a public forum, say something in the comments. You'll be surprised. A lot of other people will go, I wish I asked that, right? That's just how it is. But please give me feedback, because the whole point of this resource, the website, the bookstore, the mandalas, all of these videos and the podcast, it's not for my self-aggrandizement. It's my effort at Bodhisattva work to help all of us, because it helps me in the process, right? Elevate our game, get stronger confidence, know without doubt that we are invoking our Buddha nature. And in so doing, influencing our karmic freight train more and more toward life affirmation, full expression of potential, and minimizing repercussions from some not so nurturing karma, right? That we've either influenced the wrong way in previous years or maybe just manifested with, right? We're a big, huge engine of karma. And some of it has tendencies that aren't super cool. But all of the karma is karma, can be expressed positively as a positive experience, right, in our lives and in influencing others. And that's the whole point of enlivening our Buddha nature, not because it makes us float in the air as supreme beings, but a much more supreme being than without it, where karma is just left to run amok and just do what it does. So we can control it. We can influence it. We can make our lives more amazing. You can always use more amazing. All right. Once again, thanks again. Please take care of your health. Keep your practice strong. Thank you for your support. Patrons, as always, you guys, Bodhisattvas of a great order. Keep on practicing. Like and subscribe. If the, oh, did I put up the page? I think I did early on, didn't I? Yeah. Don't forget, if it's so much cheaper to get the book as an ebook, if you're into that. I like print books, but many people today are really comfortable with reading on their iPad or their notebook or even their phones. I can't do it, but that's become much more common now. So you can get the book immediately. And I want it to be a good tool for you to aid in your practice. Again, that's the whole purpose of this channel and all of this resource. So I'll let you go, and I'll see you in the next one, all right? Bye for now.